I'm catching a serious case of deja vu at the moment with West Ham's transfer business. And it's not because we're taking ages to sign a player. It's not because we've got a scattergun approach to, sign loads of different players, got 7 million different offers in. It's not because David Moyes once again insists on signing 30-year-olds that let's be honest, has-beens and are not really qualified to play for this football club. It's not because of any of that. It's because, once again, we have let a talented striker go for much less than we paid for him. Gianluca Scamacca is set to go to Atlanta. He was linked to go to Inter, but Atlanta have since hijacked the move. Rasmus Højlund, I believe is his name, is moving to Manchester United. So they're looking to get a replacement in. Crazy that, a team can sell a player before they've even sold him, get a replacement in. I mean, I have no idea what that's like, but, he seems set to go to Atlanta. Of course, this is yet to be confirmed by our top source X, but it is confirmed by Fabrizio. And I don't see this move breaking down. I don't see the sale not being sanctioned. And yeah, it looks like he is off to Atlanta now. A lot of people will not blame David Moyes for this because he supposedly wanted to keep the player. But I do think he has a lot to play in this. He didn't play him when he was fit. He didn't give him consistent starts in the Premier League, even when he was scoring. I don't think he had a great relationship with Scamacca. Links came out and, loads of news spread that Scamacca wasn't his striker that he wanted, that he doesn't rate him well enough, that he prefers Mikel Antonio to him. So, you can sit there and say, oh, I don't want to sell him, but I'd certainly think that, he has a lot to be held accountable for the sale of Scamacca. And to be honest, Scamacca himself does have some part to play in this. I think moving to England was a big move for him and perhaps maybe a bit too much. He's not wanting to go to any other place besides Italy. He's probably a little bit homesick. His attitude has been in question at times. I do think this is media play. I don't really think his attitude is as bad as people have claimed. I know Mark has had his view on that sort of stuff, and I totally get where he's coming from. But to be honest, I think it's a little bit overplayed, the idea that he's not got the right attitude, that he doesn't really want to be there. I don't think that's true. I think in a sense, I think he would have wanted to play for West Ham, and I think if no bids came through for him, he would have cracked on and had a great season. But the reason I'm getting deja vu is because this reminds me so much of the Haller situation. A talented striker, you cannot question Haller's talent. Don't get me wrong, didn't really fit the system at West Ham, didn't play too well, didn't have the best goal tally for West Ham, went to one of the top clubs in the world in Borussia Dortmund and just into Ajax, and absolutely exploded for them. He did so well at Ajax that he actually got his move to Borussia Dortmund and continued to perform for them there as well. So, he played really, really well. And you have to wonder if he stayed on at West Ham, if we maybe played to his strengths a bit more, would it have worked out? Who knows? But we're back in this situation again. The summer before last, we were umming and ahhing about a striker, and we couldn't find anyone good enough. So we waited till the last summer, and we were going in for Broja, we were going in for Scamacca. We chose Scamacca. It was a lot of umming and ahhing about it. We paid a good fee for him. Young player, good deal. Comes into the club. Again, doesn't really fit the system. Doesn't really suit Moyes' style of play. Scores a few goals. Has his talent on show, but struggles really to get to grips with the Premier League and how we wanted to play. And again, we've given him a year and he might be moving on. Well, it looks certain that he's moving on to Atlanta. And for me, it's just so frustrating because I genuinely thought that Scamacca was that striker. I've had, I'm 21 years of age. I've had so many different strikers play for my football club. And to be honest, the only ones that I think can even be class prolific is Arnautovic, and that was only in really his later stages. Colton Cole, and he didn't have the best goal scoring tally of all time. And I mean, you can maybe put Andy Carroll in there, but I think we're really stretching there. And Antonio was electric for about half of a season. I love Antonio, but he's not a proper striker. But in 21 years of age, I could probably name you about 4 strikers that I think have actually been good strikers. And let's be honest, we probably buy a striker every single summer. I mean, we bought 2 last year in Danny Ings and Scamacca. Obviously, one being in January. So it's just so frustrating because I really thought that Scamacca was going to be that guy, the guy that was going to come in and be our prolific striker, play for us for the next 4 or 5 years, and do the business for us. The top teams in the Premier League have brilliant strikers. Erling Haaland. I can't say the same for Arsenal, but honestly, if they had a decent striker, I genuinely think they probably would have had a better chance of winning the league last year, if not have actually won it. Obviously, Liverpool, back when they were doing really well, Firmino, I think, was a good striker. You didn't really need a striker in that system because you had Salah and Mane, who basically acted as the strikers. Firmino dropping back a bit. Man United back in the day, all great teams. Ivan Toney, of course, of Brentford as well. All great teams need a decent striker. They need that player up top who's going to put the ball in the back of the net and do the business for us. And Scamacca, again, is not that person. For me, I don't even think the worst part is that he's left. I don't think the worst part is that, we don't have a striker. I think the worst part is that we need to sign another striker because we're just so poor. The names that I'm seeing getting linked with us, Dominic Solanke of Bournemouth. I mean, why on earth would we make a move for Dominic Solanke? He was injured for half of last year. Didn't do too well for Bournemouth. He's a similar player to Scamacca, for Christ. He doesn't suit the system. I mean, why am I seeing West Ham getting linked with these kinds of players? And I think to have let him go this summer is such an oversight. Already we're looking at a centre back, a left back, a right winger or left winger, potentially a new number 10, a new number 8, a new number 6. We're looking at 7 players already. You sell Scamacca, apparently you need 8 now. 8 transfers done in 4 weeks when we've had the last 2.5 months and we haven't even got a fee close to being agreed. I mean, it's just ludicrous. It's not going to happen. I understand you've got Antonio, who might even be leaving as well. You've got Danny Ings, who, let's be honest, could probably fill that void a little bit. Doesn't really suit the system again. I don't think we'll score too many goals. And of course, you've got David Mubama, who could come in and be amazing for us. But that's a lot of pressure to put on a player of his caliber. I'd much rather see him get the consistent run out in the trophy, in the FA Cups and the League Cups and Europa League, and maybe put him in the old Premier League game if he seems like he's up for it. But it's a lot of pressure to put on a 19-year-old shoulders that we don't think we're going to spend £35 million on another striker. You are that striker. That's a lot of pressure to put on a striker of Obama's nature, and it could pay off. But I just think the fact that we're selling, in my eyes, my first choice striker, and I would say not Moyes' first choice striker, but he should be Moyes' first choice striker, with, let's be honest, no replacement lined up. And who knows when there'll be another replacement lined up. I think it's such an oversight by West Ham. And it just makes absolutely zero sense to me. Absolutely. I just don't understand it. It just makes 0 sense. You're selling a player for less than... I understand if they come in for a £45 million, a £40 million fee. Fair enough. But, I think Scamacca, if he was staying at the club, would have played for us. I think he would have, he would have played. He wouldn't have refused to train. He wouldn't have forced to move. Fair enough, he maybe wants to move back to Italy, but why not say to him, look, Gianluca, we're in a bit of a transitional period at the moment. We're struggling for transfers as it is. Stay this year. Let's see what you can do. Let's see if your mind changes. Maybe leave in January if it's getting that bad, or we'll definitely sanction it next summer if you still want to leave. We can't afford to lose you right now. You don't do that. We need so many signings through the door, and now once again we have to sign a player, which is probably the worst position we could possibly ever need at West Ham United Football Club, because we are so piss poor at signing strikers. And I'm not even sure what David Moyes' version of his striker is. He's had so many strikers at West Ham United. He's had the opportunity to buy said striker with a £35 million valuation. That's his striker. That was his chance to sign his striker. And if he wants Armando Broja, him and Scamacca are not all that dissimilar. Does he want a player like Ollie Watkins or Callum Wilson that's going to run in behind the lines and be slotted through? Or does he want a strong physical player like Gianluca Scamacca who's going to nod the ball down and pick up the ball in the midfield and feed it to his wingers? What does David Moyes want as his striker? Because he's had the chance to sign his striker and he's let him go a year later. It just makes no sense to me. I do not trust David Moyes to sign a striker for West Ham United Football Club. And the names that he comes up with, the names I'm hearing, the rumours, just do not fill me with joy. I mean, who knows? Maybe this deal could fall through. Maybe David Moyes will push to have the deal fall through, because supposedly he doesn't want Scamacca to leave. But I mean, I can't see it. I can't see it not happening. I can't see, you know, the fees already been agreed. Personal terms will not be a problem. The medical's booked in. He's already travelling to Italy. The move is not going to break down. It's done. You know, it's over. But I just cannot believe we've let this happen again. And it just is such an oversight. It's just going to pump so much more pressure onto us for the end of this window. Because, you know, can we really go into a season with Antonio, Danny Ings, and Mubama as our, you know, and supposedly David Moyes wants to move the two up front. I mean, I don't know how that's going to happen. It just lumps so much more pressure on our budget, so much more pressure on, you know, how we're going to be able to conduct transfer business. And unless we're bringing a name like, you know, I know he's injured, but like a Tammy Abraham, or I wouldn't mind Brozier at the football club. But again, injury concerns. He just had a cruciate ligament injury. Is he really going to come back better? We're getting names like Dominic Solanke. And I tell you what will happen is on transfer deadline day, we'll panic buy someone like we did with Buddy Jordan Hugill. We'll panic buy someone ridiculous. I mean, we could have got Victor Gyökeres, but we didn't go for him, and Sporting Lisbon have signed him. He would have been perfect for West Ham. But of course, you know, we just dither. We just, you know, why wasn't there a conversation to be had at the start of the window? Gianluca, are you going to stay at the football club or not? Do you want to leave? If not, stay. If you know, if you do want to leave, we'll sanction it because we need to get someone in the door soon. Why are these conversations never being had at West Ham? You know, why? I just don't understand why West Ham do not. And we're too nice as well. You know, if we don't think we can get a suitable replacement in for Scamacca, we need to be a little bit more ruthless when you say, look, we're not going to sell you. We can't do it. You know, we just, it would just put us in the crap too much. Why are we just so willing to be like, oh, well, Scamacca wants to leave, and I guess they've given us 30 million, so all right then. I know the manager doesn't want to let him go, but let's just let it happen. You know, it's all about the player. No, you got to do what's best for West Ham, and Gianluca Scamacca leaving is not what's best for West Ham at the moment. And unfortunately, it's just another situation where we're letting a player go on the cheap for terrible resale value. And it's another talented striker that we've basically let go, not for peanuts, you know, it's still a respectable sum, but have let go for a lot less than we paid for them. And the biggest worry for me now is who is going to replace them.